The Sega Saturn was a console that released in the mid-90s and was a huge success in Japan. Although it didn't do as well in the United States, it still had a fantastic library of games that are worth revisiting. In this video, we'll be counting down the top 15 Sega Saturn games of all time based on a combination of factors including overall quality, replayability, and impact on the gaming industry. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the world of Sega Saturn gaming. Number 15. Sega Rally Championship. Sega Rally Championship was not only a great racing game, but it also had a fantastic soundtrack that added to the overall experience. The game had a variety of tracks that were challenging and fun to race on, ranging from desert to snowy mountain tracks. The inclusion of different surfaces such as gravel and tarmac added a level of depth to the gameplay that was not seen in other racing games at the time. The game also had a multiplayer mode that allowed you to race against your friends, adding replayability to the game. Overall, the Sega Rally Championship was a game that was ahead of its time and is still a joy to play today, with its fast-paced gameplay and challenging tracks that will keep you coming back for more. Number 14. Guardian Heroes. Guardian Heroes was a game that truly stood out from other beat-em-up games of its time. Its RPG elements added a depth of gameplay that was not seen in other games of the genre. The ability to level up your character and choose different paths in the game made each playthrough feel unique. The multiple endings also added the replayability of the game, making it a game that you could come back to time and time again. The Versus mode was also a great addition, allowing you to battle it out with your friends and see who was the best fighter. Overall, Guardian Heroes was a game that was ahead of its time and is still a great game to play today. With its unique gaming mechanics, engaging storyline, and fun multiplayer mode, it's definitely an easy one to recommend to people. Number 13. Nights into Dreams. Nights into Dreams was not only a visually stunning game, but it also had a unique storyline that was unlike anything else at the time. The dreamlike atmosphere of the game added to the overall experience, making it a joy to play. The ability to fly as knights added a level of freedom to the gameplay that was not seen in other platformers, allowing the player to explore the game's world in a way that was both exhilarating and immersive. The game also had a great soundtrack that perfectly complemented the game's visuals and added to the overall immersion, with each track perfectly capturing the game's dreamlike atmosphere. Nights into Dreams was a game that truly showcased the Sega Saturn's capabilities, with its stunning graphics, unique gameplay mechanics, and immersive soundtrack. Number 12. Shining Force 3. Shining Force 3 was a game that truly pushed the limits of what the Sega Saturn was capable of. Its stunning visuals and attention to detail made it a feast for the eyes, while its deep and engaging storyline kept players invested in the game from start to finish. The ability to choose different paths in the game led an overall replayability that was not seen in other tactical RPGs of its time, giving players a sense of agency and control over the game's narrative. The game's battle system was also a standout feature, with its easy-to-learn mechanics and challenging gameplay that kept players on their toes and made each battle feel like a true test of skill. Overall, Shining Force 3 was a game that any RPG fan would consider a must-have for their Sega Saturn collection, and it remains a beloved classic to this day. Number 11. Panzer Dragoon II Sway. Panzer Dragoon II Sway was not only a visually stunning game, but it also had a captivating storyline that kept players invested in the game from start to finish. The ability to control your dragon and choose different paths in the game added a level of freedom to the gameplay that was not seen in other on-rail shooters, making each playthrough feel unique. The game's soundtrack perfectly complemented the game's visuals and added to the overall immersion, with each track perfectly capturing the game's unique art style and dreamlike atmosphere. Panzer Dragoon II Zwei was a game that truly showcased the Sega Saturn's capabilities with its stunning graphics, engaging storyline, and innovative gameplay mechanics. It's still a game that is beloved today. Number 10. Virtua Fighter 2. Coming in at number 10 is Virtua Fighter 2. This game was a fighting game developed by Sega AM2. It had great graphics and a unique fighting system that was ahead of its time. What set this fighting game apart from other games was the ability to dodge attacks and throw your opponents, adding a whole new level of strategy to the gameplay that just wasn't seen in other games of its genre. The game also had a great roster of characters that were unique and fun to play, each with their own fighting style and special moves. Number 9. Dragon Force. Dragon Force was a game that truly stood out from other tactical RPGs of its time. Its unique gameplay mechanics allowed players to control massive armies and engage in epic battles, making each battle feel like a true test of strategy and skill. The game's attention to detail and great character development added to the overall immersion, making it a game that was hard to put down. The game's soundtrack was also a standout feature, with its epic orchestral score perfectly capturing the game's grand scale and adding to the overall experience. Number 8. Sega Worldwide Soccer 97. Coming in at number 8 is Sega Worldwide Soccer 97. This game was a soccer game developed by Sega and released in 1996. It had great graphics and a great gameplay system that made it stand out from other soccer games of its time. Now, what set this game apart was the ability to play as national teams from all around the world, giving players a chance to represent their favorite countries on the virtual pitch. The game also had a great soundtrack, with each track perfectly capturing the excitement and energy of a real soccer match, or football, depending on where you live in the world. Whether you're a die-hard fan or just looking for a fun and engaging sports game to play, Sega Worldwide Soccer 97 is definitely worth checking out. Though, really, what's this thing where they release a game a year before and call it the next year? I really don't understand that. Alright, now we're midway through, and I know there's other games that you'd probably put on this list. Be sure to sound off in the comments on anything that you thought deserved to be here that wasn't. Now, I know a lot of my personal favorites missed this one because, well, my favorites are a little more niche and maybe not as well known, and unfortunately, working designs. If you're enjoying the video, be sure to like and subscribe. Now back to the list. Number 7. Burning Rangers. Burning Rangers was not only a visually stunning game, but it also had a unique gameplay mechanic that set it apart from other games of its time. The ability to fight fires and rescue people added a level of depth to the gameplay that was not seen in other games of the genre, making each player feel like each playthrough was a true test of skill. The game's great graphics and interesting storyline, combined with its immersive soundtrack, made it a must-have for any Sega Saturn owner who was looking for a game that was both challenging and engaging. The game's use of 3D graphics was also ahead of its time, with its detailed environments and character models adding to the overall immersion of the game. The game's difficulty level was also well balanced, with each level presenting a new challenge that required both skill and strategy to overcome. Overall, Burning Rangers was a game that truly showcased the Sega Saturn's capabilities. Number 6. Sonic R. Sonic R, or as most people probably decided it was just called Sonic Racing and they decided not to say racing, was not only a racing game that was great, but it also had a fantastic soundtrack that perfectly captured the energy and excitement of the Sonic franchise. This game's vibrant environments, ranging from the lush green forests to bustling cities, added to the overall experience, making it a joy to play. The ability to collect rings and perform special moves added a level of depth to the gameplay that, of course, was not in other racing games, while the platforming elements allowed players to explore the game's world in a way that was both engaging and fun. Sonic R was a game that truly captured the essence of the Sonic franchise, and it remains a beloved classic to this day, with its unique gameplay mechanics, catchy soundtrack, and vibrant visuals, making it a must-have for any Sega Saturn owner. Like, seriously, if you're gonna have a Sega console, you need to have all the Sonic games, right? It's like a rule or a law or something, right? Somebody back me up on this, please. There's a rule somewhere, right? Number 5, Street Fighter Alpha 3. Taking the 5th spot on our list is Street Fighter Alpha 3. This game was a fighting game developed by Capcom and released in 1998. It had great graphics and an interesting storyline that continued the saga of the Street Fighter franchise. Now, what set this game apart from other fighting games was the ability to choose from such a large roster of characters, with each having their own fighting style and special moves. The game also had a great soundtrack that perfectly complemented the game's visuals and added to the overall experience. Whether you're a fan of the Street Fighter franchise, or just looking for a fun and engaging fighting game to play, Street Fighter Alpha 3 is definitely worth checking out. Number 4. Saturn Bomberman. Saturn Bomberman was not only a great puzzle game, but it also had a variety of game modes that kept players engaged and coming back for more. The game's battle mode allowed players to compete against each other in fast-paced and chaotic battle royale, while the story mode offered a more traditional puzzle-solving experience. The ability to play with up to 10 players using a multi-tap made Saturn Bomberman a great party game, perfect for gatherings with friends and family. The game's unique gameplay mechanics, great graphics, and catchy soundtrack made it a standout title in the Sega Saturn's library of games. With its fast-paced gameplay, challenging puzzles, and multiplayer modes that were so fun that I can't even explain how fun they were, Saturn Bomberman is a game that's still enjoyable to play today and is a testament to the Sega Saturn's library of great games. Number 3. Panzer Dragoon Saga. Panzer Dragoon Saga was a game that truly pushed the boundaries of what was possible on the Sega Saturn. Its stunning graphics and attention to detail made it a feast for the eyes, while its captivating storyline kept players invested in the game from start to finish. The ability to control your dragon and engage in epic battles added a level of freedom to gameplay that wasn't seen in other RPGs of its time, making each playthrough feel unique and exciting. The game's great character development and immersive soundtrack perfectly complemented the game's visuals, adding to the overall experience and making it a game that was so hard to put down. Panzer Dragoon Saga was a true masterpiece that showcased the Sega Saturn's capabilities. Number 2. Shining the Holy Ark. Shining the Holy Ark was not only a great RPG, but it also had a unique dungeon crawling mechanic that set it apart from other games of the genre. The ability to explore different dungeons and uncover hidden treasures added an extra level of depth to the gameplay that wasn't seen in other RPGs of its time. The game's attention to detail and great character development added to the overall immersion, making it a hard game to put down. The game's soundtrack was a standout feature as well, with its epic orchestral score perfectly capturing the game's grand scale and adding to the overall experience. The game's combat system was also noteworthy, with its turn-based battles requiring strategy and skill to overcome. Shining the Holy Ark was a game that any Sega Saturn owner would consider a must-have for their collection, and a game that a lot of people should go back and play and check out again, and just because of, well, it's probably one of the best RPGs on the Sega Saturn. And coming in at number 1, Sonic Jam. Sonic Jam was released in 1997 and was a compilation of classic Sonic games, including Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and Sonic & Knuckles. The game also had a variety of features that made it a standout title on the Sega Saturn. The game's museum mode allowed players to explore the history of the Sonic franchise with artwork and information about the games and characters. The ability to play as Sonic in 3D for the first time was also a game changer, allowing players to experience the world of Sonic in a whole new way. Sonic Jam was a game that any Sega Saturn owner would consider a must-have for the collection, with its great gameplay, fun features, and nostalgic value, making it a joy to play for both old and new fans of the Sonic franchise. Thank you for joining today as we explored the top 15 Sega Saturn games of all time. The Saturn may be gone, but its legacy lives on through these amazing games. I hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, this has been Azure Tony. Today, we found some fun in gaming, and I hope you enjoyed yourselves too. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Arigatou gozaimasu.